Hey guys, Lytane here, and thank you for checking out this video and for joining me on what I have dubbed JuLion month. Now, the live action movie has just come out, but before I do a review on that, I am reminded of a time where Disney went sequel mad. They made sequels to just about everything, and The Lion King was no exception. So today, I want to have a look at The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and see if it's worth it. JuLion month. The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride is a direct-to-video sequel that came out in 1998, a good 4 years after the first film. The film takes place pretty much exactly where the last one ended, with Simba and Nala showing the Pride Lands their first child. To a much smaller crowd, though. Oh right, yeah, because Scar probably killed half of them when he was king, so they probably haven't recovered yet. It's definitely not an animation budget thing, no, don't be silly. But instead of being a boy like most people expected, it's a girl! Meet Kiara, the new cub with a lot of spunk and bravery that is very similar to how Simba was as a kid. Simba tries his very best to raise her and instill the wisdom that his father has passed down to him and to keep her safe. But she is like him in more ways than one, and she quickly gets into trouble. Do you remember when Mufasa told Simba not to go to the elephant graveyard? What did Simba do? He went straight there. Now Simba tells Kiara not to go to the outlands, so what do you think she does? She goes straight there. In the Outlands, she meets another cub called Kovu, who bears a striking resemblance to our favourite usurper. The two hit it off and become fast friends, but Simba isn't having any of that. Kovu was part of the Outlander tribe who were banished for being Scar supporters, so the cubs aren't allowed to be friends. Where the first movie was more Hamlet, I'm guessing this one's gonna be more Romeo and Juliet. So who is Kovu's father? What are the evil plans of the Outlanders? Will our heroes die at the end like in the play, so I'll need tissues like I did with Mufasa? All I know is that I'm gonna watch this film regardless of my pride. The Lion King 2 is a direct-to-VHS movie. That's right, VHS. Long before streaming, before DVDs, we had VHS tapes. It was fantastic. Now, I found out about this movie because I had rented another Disney movie which had trailers before the main movie would start. That's what VHSs used to do. Now, one of those trailers was for Simba's Pride, and man, it got my hype way high, because I really loved The Lion King as a kid, despite the fact that it made me cry. So when I found out that there was going to be another movie in the series, I was so excited. And then it said straight to video, which made me a little surprised, because I thought all movies were supposed to come out in the cinemas. But Disney answered that for me, because they wanted it to be an adventure straight into my home. None of that middle ground of theaters. Nah, it's gonna be straight in your home. As a kid, I ate that up. I didn't understand anything better, so I was like, yay, I get to buy it straight away, or at least I get to annoy my parents to buy it straight away. While I don't own the VHS of the movie any longer, that marketing was enough to get me. When I first turned on the film and I was greeted by that opening musical number, I was both very happy and very confused. The confusion lasted for about the first third of the movie before I realized what was going on. The first third or so of the film is very similar to the original movie. A cub is born, they are willful, told some deep shit from their father, told not to go to a dangerous place. Immediately go to that dangerous place, get attacked by some bad guys, father saves them, some more deep talks, and so on. Even the songs have a resemblance to the first film, though they sound very different. No Elton John here is probably too expensive. They fit the Disney song mold as well, which I talked about in the first Lion King review that I did. With the first third being very similar, it's a little funny when the movie actually makes a joke in reference to that, and they know that they were being lazy with just a pretty much rehash of the first film for the first third, but they didn't give a crap. A major difference though is that in the original movie you have young Simba for about 2/3 of the film and the adult for the last third, where in this one it is the first third that has the young Kiara and the 2/3 after that with the adult one, so they switched it up at least a little bit there. Grown-up Kiara is played by Neve Campbell, who was definitely hitting her stride when it came to Hollywood at this point in her life, and she does a fairly good job as the adult version of Kiara. Also, most of the voice actors from the original movie reprise their role for this one, which is really good. I'm glad when Disney does that. So Matthew Broderick plays Simba again. One change that they did make was Rowan Atkinson did not do a Zazu again, so then Zazu is played by a different voice actor, which I can't remember off the top of my head, and he doesn't do a very good job of it either. He tries to imitate the voice, and he just does not do it consistently, and it's just not very good. So I think they cut out most of the Zazu in this film because they didn't get the original voice actor, so oh well, that's probably for the best. But one thing that does rub me the wrong way is Simba's voice actor. In the first movie, he is the ultimate bachelor bro, and his voice reflects that with his laid-back attitude. Now he is a father trying to fill the role of Mufasa, and his laid-back voice just doesn't really suit what's going on. It's a little distracting, and I don't think he does a very good job in the film. The animators, though, did do a good job. While not as beautiful as mainstream Disney, this is a very nice looking movie. Instead of being a pilot episode for a TV show that Disney liked to do at this time and using the TV standard animation, they really stepped it up here. The colors are nice, the animation is fluid, the characters and locations look good, and you can see that effort was put into this film, much nicer and a better consistency than that of the Aladdin sequel. They even put some effort into the songs as well. They do fit the Disney mold, so that does help a little bit, but the songs are fairly good. The very first one, He Lives in You, is actually from the Broadway version of The Lion King, but it is a different rendition for the movie. It is a really good song, and I'm not quite certain of its place, like it should have been the very first song in the movie. The idea behind it is that Mufasa lives in Simba and therefore in Kiara, and I get that, but I think Circle of Life was a much better and grander song, but this song is still good. My Lullaby is the villain song of the film, and I think it's funny because they're singing it to put Kovu back to sleep, and they're screaming this song, and yet he still falls asleep to it. I think it's pretty funny. The lyrics to the song are fairly good, but I don't like the singing or the musicality of the song, and they do a lot of references to Be Prepared in the song as well, and that just makes me think of a better song, which is not good, because now I just want to listen to the Be Prepared song instead. Upandi is the love song of the film, and it feels like a fusion between Can't Wait to Be King and Can You Feel the Love Tonight, because of the colors and the animation that's happening throughout the song is just really reminiscent of Can't Wait to Be King, though the subject matter is Can You Feel the Love Tonight, so it's the two lions falling in love. Whilst not the best song, it's at least nice to look at, and Rafiki gets to sing, so that's interesting as well. It's an alright song. There's also We Are One, which acts as the I Want song of the film, and it's okay, it's nothing special. I do think that Matthew Broderick has a nice singing voice though, so the start of the song is really nice, but I don't think young Kiara suits the part as much, so yeah, it's okay. You might have noticed that I haven't talked too much about the story yet and how the movie plays out because honestly, it's nothing too special. The Romeo and Juliet tale is pretty basic. As they fall in love, the parents are fighting and then they want to get together even though the parents forbid it. I think it's funny that the twist on the tale is Kovu has been trained his entire life to hate Simba and to want to kill him, but then he becomes part of the pride and they're like friend in a day. Whoa, that was easy. I wish there was more turmoil and inner conflict with Kovu. Like, it's there, don't get me wrong, especially as he wants to have his own life and not be the reflection of Scar that Zira has thrust upon him, but it's a little underdeveloped. Where Simba went through deep depression and we get to see it and have time and learn and grow with him through it, it's a lot faster in this film, maybe due to too many characters having to be present in the film and 2 leads instead of 1. I think that Zira is a fun enough villain. Her motivations are clear and you can tell what she's trying to do, but damn, she only had like one plan in the entire film, which was to set Kovu up and try and usurp the throne that way. Why didn't she put anything else into practice? She's shown to be a smart and cunning lady, but honestly, she doesn't really do much with it, and because of that, you can't help but compare her to Scar, who did have multiple plans, and he was more cunning and he was better at thinking through different situations, so I also would have liked a bit more depth with the outcast lions, but because there are so many different characters in the film, we don't get a lot of time with them. The most development actually happens to one of the side characters, Nuka, played by Andy Dick. He has the worst character of the entire film, but he has one of the best arcs in the film, in my opinion, for somebody that really wants to get his mother's affection and just to be noticed. And by the end, there's a cut line in the original movie, which actually has him saying as he dies, like, "Did you finally notice me, mother?" It's great, and they cut it, and they shouldn't have, because it just gives that finality to his arc. Like, he did all of this stuff, including dying, just so he could get noticed. But speaking of too many characters, I don't think that Disney knew what to do with Timon and Pumbaa, but they had to be in the film because they were in the first and they were so popular. In this movie, they don't really do much. They say jokes, which mostly fall flat, and they're even at the final battle, which makes no sense because it's lions on lions and they are there. And the only point of them being there was to have a single fart joke. Wow. Wow, Disney, so good, so good. Now, I said that I was confused as a kid when watching this movie, and as an adult, I'm still confused, but for many different reasons. The timeline in the films just doesn't make sense. First off, Kovu looks like he's Scar's son more than anything, so when did Scar have a son? Did he even have sex? I mean, he mustn't be very into sex, or maybe he's not very fertile, as he was in charge of a lion pride for a long time, and there aren't any of these kids running around. The Outlanders were banished because they supported Scar, but in The Lion King, all of the lionesses band together in order to stop him. Where were they during that fight? Were they off hunting? Did they fight and then decide, oh no, we want to support Scar? Did they not fight and it just wasn't shown? It just doesn't make sense. Also, in preparations for this review, I did some extensive lion research for this film because it just doesn't make any sense for the timeline. A lion is pregnant for roughly 110 days, or 3.5 months. They only look like cubs, what you see in the film, for the first 6 or so months of their life. By the time they hit 9 months old, they look very different, and they also grow pretty quickly. Both movies have the cubs look like they're under that 6-month mark, which keeps them small and cute. And why am I bringing all of this up? Well, it looks like Kovu and Kiara are the same age or thereabouts, but how? The movie says that Scar picked Kovu to lead, so that means he must have been born before the end of the first film. And let's just say, the latest possible time that he could have been born was the day before, say, Simba came back and took back the throne. Now, Simba and Nala need to have a kid, and that's nearly 4 months after the end of the film, at the very least. Then Kiara needs to be around 3 months old in order to be the cub that she is portrayed as. That makes Kovu at least 7 months old. He is much bigger and very different from a 3-month-old cub that we see on the screen, but they both look the same. Okay, I know, I'm looking way too much into this, but it annoys the crap out of me, and it's all so forced, just so that he can look like Scar, and just so they can try and tie him into the first film. It's always bugged me, even as a kid, but whatever, okay, I'll just accept it for now. Rant over. The rant might be over, but I am still annoyed at another scene that's in the film. At one point, Zira tries to ambush Simba because her one plan of like 2 years is kind of falling apart in a day. She probably should have put some contingencies in place. This is one of those contingencies, I guess, because she tries to kill Simba with all the lionesses, and Kovu's around as well, and it's a little bit of that he betrays them, but not really. And he tries to get away, and Simba does get away. In the turmoil, Nuka dies, which is really sad, and like I said, he has that one great line which doesn't get said. Now, the problem I have with the scene is not the action or everything, that's fine. It's directly afterwards. Zira says to Kovu that he is ashamed to the pride because he is nothing like Scar. He should be more like Scar. He is not worthy of that Scar mantle that they have placed upon him. And the reason she gives is utter bullcrap. She says, "You betrayed your pride." Remember what Scar did? Scar betrayed the pride and therefore became king. And then she says, "You killed your brother." I don't know about you, but Scar killed his brother too. And then she's like, you are not worthy to be Scar. If anything, that makes him even more like Scar than any other character in the entire film. It is so ridiculous, and it's meant to be like her saying like, oh, you're not part of our tribe, you should go back and, you know, you're pretty much outcast from our tribe, you're outcast from another tribe. It's not very nice, and it is so forced and so silly, and I'm like, wow, you couldn't come up with any good reasons. You came up with reasons that make him look like Scar. It annoyed me. It annoyed me quite a bit. But enough annoyance, let's have a little bit of fun. During the action scenes of the film, I was so expecting at any point for a pirate to jump out of it. Why pirates, you might think? Because listen to this part of the action song. Is it just me, or does it sound like Pirates of the Caribbean? It's ridiculous, it's so close. I'm sure that when Pirates of the Caribbean was being made, they watched this movie and thought, oh man, that's a good riff, and then they expanded upon it and changed it. I'm sure that's exactly what happened. That's my headcanon, you can't dispute it, because I just think it's funny, and the whole time everything was happening, I'm just like expecting Jack Sparrow to come out and save the day. Due to the pace of the film being very fast, the mistrust, acceptance, and then banishment of Kovu happen very quickly. But this leads to my favorite song in the movie, called Not One of Us, which is sung by the other animals. Yeah, it's not just the heroes who can talk, even the zebras and the antelopes can sing as well. It makes me happy that Disney did not show this and did not show them being eaten, because can you imagine the screams and the cries for help and the lions going for the kill? It's crazy. Oh man, gosh. Anyway, the lyrics are great with lines like, let him run, let him live, but do not forget what we can't forgive. It's such a powerful song, but the absolute best part of the whole thing is the zebra and the antelope singing deception, disgrace over it. Oh man, I had no idea I needed this in my life until I rewatched this film. When somebody betrays me, I need deception to play, and when somebody happens to do something bad around me, or they fall over, or I do something stupid, disgrace should play. Oh my god. Since watching this film, I've done so many of those references to my girlfriend, and we laugh every time. It's absolutely great. Oh, and as a quick aside, when Kiara goes to Kovu after he is banished, she gets excited from this tiny bush, thinking it might be Kovu behind there. How the hell does a fully grown lion fit there? That is ridiculously stupid. In my opinion, I think that The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, is worth it. It is a very, very good Disney sequel. One of the few good Disney sequels out there, in my opinion. The animation is good, the voice acting is good, and I'm happy that they got most of the people to reprise their roles. The action is good. The story is kind of cookie cutter, but it works. And I do enjoy most of the songs in the film, and I think they did a very good job with them, especially with Deception. Oh my god, it makes me laugh every single time. I would have liked more character development, especially from our two main characters, Kovu and Kiara. I think because of the split focus of the movie, they didn't get enough development on either side, which is a bit of a shame. Also, the pace of the film is a little bad, with it being rushed in certain spots where they should have taken more time to get to know the characters. And I think it's probably because there's just too many characters in the film. They needed to cut that back as well. But regardless, I still think it's a fun movie. And the fact that the movie ends in a very particular way, it actually says the end, like this is the end of the story, and I respect Disney for doing that. That means there can't be any more sequels, right? There's no more. There's no more sequels. I don't have to worry about any more. God damn it, Disney. So guys, tell me what you thought about The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and I'm a little bit gangster. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was one of the good Disney sequels or not? Honestly, there's not very many good Disney sequels. I can probably count it on one hand. And if you want to know what the other good Disney sequels are, you'll just have to subscribe and join me for the future videos when one day I'll talk about them. Or maybe you could just ask me and I'll just answer you. That's probably what's gonna happen. Alright, anyways, bye. I'm just imagining just like a zebra running around doing his thing, and then Simba just jumps out of nowhere and starts eating him, and he's like, ah! Ah! And then one of the other like zebras just goes, deception, disgrace, as he's like eating away at the guy's friend. Because Simba used to eat bugs exclusively, right? Does he still have that diet or not? At one point in the film, Kiara doesn't know how to hunt properly. Is that because he's teaching her how to hunt for bugs? I don't know. Don't know any of the lyrics. I'm on a humble way. I claim the song's like kind of forgettable, but then I can't stop thinking about it.